welcome to All Lacrosse Live on a Sunday morning again. It is Breakfast with the Boys, and we really appreciate you coming aboard and joining us for yet another ride. With me, of course, I have Shawn Slaght, who is...
somewhere in Saskatchewan.
I'm seeing a different background, so I'm not really sure where he's at. So, somewhere in Saskatchewan is Shawn Slaght. How are you, Shawn?
I'm doing good, thanks, Gary.
And for the time being, I have Muffler Mike in Connecticut, but that's not for very long either.
No,
How are you, Mike?
I'm good.
Man, a few words today. It's been a busy week again, guys. We've had a lot of things culminate and new things on the horizon. We'll be talking a little bit about Minto coming up. We're going to talk about the President's Cup coming up, a few more signings in the NLL, and a few other things to go around. But first of all, let's get the network stuff out of the way. And remember that all the shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can catch all the action on ELPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. As you can see, we have many, many, many shows, and you can enjoy all of our affiliates, including the Broad Street Bully Podcast, Philly Press Box Radio, Edge of Philly Sports Live, Birds IQ, Patterson Avenue Fanatics, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B, Devereaux Sports, The Painted Lines, Party on Broad, also the Steel Steps, and they were talking the other day about a show that was over here in Toronto, which was pretty cool. Been a lot of wrestling here in Toronto in the last couple of days. If you missed the show, no worries. You can grab all the podcasts and all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Spotify. And if you're looking for a show in particular, you can catch it on the ELP's YouTube page. Or if you're looking for our show in particular, you can go to the All Across All the Time YouTube page. Please subscribe while you're there. And remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting ELPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, also subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Well, just want to say to everybody that this part of our program is brought to you by Dolan's Bar.
All right, guys, when you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, make sure to go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Avenue at Ridley Park. Right off of I-95, south of Philadelphia Airport, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. Great music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, great drinks, and even better food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through the door. You got to go to Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave at Ridley Park. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll see you there for the game.
There you are. Have a beer with the boys. Let's start off with some NLL Junior tournament over at the Rock Athletic Center. And every year at this particular time, teams from all over the NLL put together their under 13, under 15, under 17s and send over teams for competitions basically to see our future. And there's some great lacrosse going on over there. If you're anywhere in the area, we still have some games today. A lot of the finals are going on today. Just to give you a little bit of a hint of what's what here, looking at the divisions for under 13, the Junior Rock have gone 6-0. The Junior Bandits have gone 5-1. The Junior Roughnecks have gone 5-1. Junior Mammoth have gone 4-2. Moving down a little bit, the Junior Nighthawks are 3-2. The Junior Seals are 3-2. Junior Firewolves 2-3, as well as the Junior Desert Dogs. The Junior Wings are 1-4, as well as the Junior Rush at 1-4, and the Junior Thunderbirds and Junior Swarm are 0-5. That is the under 13s. Moving to the under 15s, the Junior Rock are 6-0, as well as the Junior Roughnecks, also 6-0. The Junior Nighthawks and Junior Swarm are 4-2 each. The Junior Firewolves are 3-2. The Junior Bandits are 2-3. Junior Panther City and Junior Mammoth also 2-3, as well as the Junior Seals. The Junior Wings are 1-4. Junior Thunderbirds and Junior Rush are 0-5. And lastly, the under 17s which damn near would be juniors, yeah. The Rock are 3-1. They actually lost to Rochester, so kudos to Rochester, who are also 3-1. And the Junior Bandits are 3-1. Panther City is 4-0, guys. The Junior Roughnecks 2-2. Junior Wings 1-3. And the Junior Firewolves and Junior Thunderbirds are 0-4. Some interesting things there, you know. I didn't really think the Panther City would have had such a big team at 4-0. Looking at their goals for and against, they're 430 against. They're a pretty strong team. You know, the only one scored more is the Rock, 52 with 23 goals against. So differential's a little bit better, but still, that should be an interesting little final to the game.
Yeah, definitely good to see that it's growing.
Yeah. And I was talking with Nick Rose the other day, and they were moving around Thursday really quickly, trying to get everything in shape for it because the thing started Friday. He was supposed to be a guest on last week's other show. He's actually going to be my guest tomorrow at 1:00 Eastern on Spanglish Sports World. If you're available to watch that interview live, if not, you can catch it on all of the normal places that we have these shows, and it'll be up in archive as well. Later in the week, Tate Katoni will be my guest Thursday, and when we get to MSL, Peterborough's having a little bit of a tough time so far with Six Nations, but kind of figured that though, didn't we?
I think so. Yeah.
It's just you just look at it on the wall, and it's possible. It's still possible. Peterborough wins the next one, and we still have a series. They lose the next one, and I think this thing is the crying.
Six Nations lineup could be tough.
They haven't. Well, Cody Jamieson hasn't played in this series yet. Randy Stott sat out the last game, and they still handle things pretty easily. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Also this week, the Minto Cup starts today, and we got two really great games. These are Eastern time things, I believe. It's 5 p.m. The Coquitlam Adirondacks play the Calgary Mountaineers, and at 8 p.m. the Burlington Blaze are playing the Edmonton Miners. Burlington has put out a watch party. If you're in the area, over to Nickelbrook Brewery on Mayway in Burlington, $10 admission and $1 from every beer sale will be going to the Burlington Blaze. They'll pay for some of their expenses, but the watch party is there. I think it's a pretty great idea, to tell you the truth.
Great idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the other couple of games in the round robin will be that way, and probably for the playoffs as well, if they make it that far. Games tomorrow is going to have Calgary against Burlington at the 5 o'clock game, and Edmonton against Coquitlam for the 8 o'clock. That's another barn burner of a day.
Yeah.
These are four really great teams. And, to my recollection, I don't remember the Minto being such parodied for everybody. You'd always have a couple of teams that are pretty much on par, and then a couple of teams that they're there because they have to be.
Like we're mentioning off air, Gary, it used to be that Alberta was kind of that free bingo space. It's not that way anymore, especially after what we saw Edmonton do last year.
As much as being an Ontario guy, I'm cheering for Burlington and have a bunch of associates that I know on the team. But my heart's still with Edmonton, and it was last year too. Even knowing guys on Whitby, it was weird because you just, the natural instinct I think is to cheer for the underdog, but I'm not even sure if Edmonton is the underdog anymore. They made it to the finals last year. They were literally a goal post away or a penalty shot away from sending that thing into overtime. So, I don't know. This is by far, in my opinion, the closest one. And if you have any inclination, you're going to want to go to the Minto Cup site, which is themintocup.com, and take a look and see about watching these games, because I don't think you're going to be disappointed with any of these. And if you happen to be near the Burlington area, get to the watch party. Help support the teams, because they're going to give you some fantastic lacrosse. All right. With that being said, we go over to the Ontario Series Lacrosse, and they finally they finished their series, and well, as expected, I think as expected, the Oakville Rock came out on top with a 16-12 victory, but it wasn't easy, guys. I don't know if anybody was as surprised as I was really watching how good Six Nations played in Game 2. Now, granted, Nick Rose wasn't in net in Game 2, and a few other guys didn't make it out to Six Nations for that game. But an 11-7 victory was a pretty good exclamation point that they belong there. And in this game, at one point, Oakville was up 7-1. And personally, I thought, okay, it's time to do something else because this game is toast. And before you knew it, Six Nations had put together a comeback, and we're talking about 11-9. With a couple of seconds into the third. So you had 20 minutes basically with a 2-goal game. It got to be 11-10. Not long after that on a power play, Dalton Silver getting a goal. And then Oakville got it. Well, Andrew Q took it upon himself. Got 2 quick goals. He had a game and a half in that game. Q just put the team on his shoulders in this star-studded cast. And it made it 13-10. Before I knew it, it was 14-11, and this game was toast. Brandon Slade had a couple of goals in transition back-to-back. Couple of really beautiful goals, in both identical. One was off a lead pass from Bill Hostrauser going in alone, and one was off a Jameson Dilks pass going in all alone. Dalton Silver got one back, making it 15-12. Q again, with just seconds left in the game, 16-12 was your final. And your OSL champion is the Oakville Rock. Now, this leads us into the President's Cup, which starts on the 27th. Which is next Sunday. And again, it's going to be a full week of action and should be very exciting. If you're anywhere near Oakville, it is at the track this year, running the 27th through September 2nd. So if you have any opportunity to get there, I believe to get a pass for the entire thing is $70 and cheaper if you're going to go game day by day. So really not a big hit to your wallet. And again, you are supporting lacrosse all through, and you're going to see some fantastic lacrosse, and you're going to watch the President's Cup be awarded. Pretty good, I'd say.
Can't complain.
No.
No, not at all.
Not even you tried, eh? But yeah, so that's how that's all going to play out. All right, we have some news, of course, NLL news. And the first one, of course, Shawn, I'll let you take this one, is the Curtis Manning.
Yeah, big piece of the Roughnecks. Curtis Manning called her a career. He retired after 13 seasons in the NLL, all with the Roughnecks. I guess a little bit about him. The Surrey product, played his junior ball with the New Westminster Salmon Bellies. He was drafted in the first round, 6th overall in 2008 by the Roughnecks. Then in his rookie season in 2010, he was named to the all-rookie team. He then played for Canada's national team in the 2010 World Lacrosse Championships in Manchester, United Kingdom, where they won the silver medal. He did miss the 2011 season there to attend medical school and complete his medical studies. He did return late in that season. He played 2 games and 2 playoff games with an injury to Andrew McBride. During the summers, Manning plays for the Salmon Bellies in the WLA. 2010, he was named WLA First Team All-Star. 2011, he was also named a First Team All-Star. And he was also awarded the Gordon Nicholson Award for the Best WLA Defender. In his NLL career, he played 197 games, 26 goals, 60 assists, and 841 loose balls. So a long-time piece of the Roughnecks that they're definitely going to be missing this year.
Absolutely. We wish Curtis all the best. Dr. Manning.
Yep.
And Eduardo's with us. Hi, Eduardo. Good morning, sir.
Right, well,
Hey, Eduardo.
Where are you at this day, Eduardo? Are you in Jacksonville, North Carolina? Did you go to Seattle? Another world trip. Something about this program, man. We all go everywhere. Mike, what sea are you going to be on this week?
I'm going to be on the Caribbean Sea.
The Caribbean.
No, Atlantic Ocean more. Than
Absolutely, he's going to be working on
traveling
it.
Yeah.
So next week it'll be do not adjust your set. Mike is just darker than the rest of us. Mind you, except for the time I was in San Diego, I made ghosts look dark. Live from Jacksonville. There you are. Live from Jacksonville. Good to have you with us, Eduardo, as always. Some big news. The couple of pieces that we were wondering about signing so far is Dylan Moore signed, I believe it was for 4 years. That's a pretty big statement, I think. But I don't think that Colorado could do without him. Right? Because I don't think they win their championship without him.
No.
And then Ryland Hartley signs for 2 years. And I saw something really, really silly out on there. Somebody brought up didn't he let up 19 goals in a playoff game? Didn't he get you to the playoffs?
You pretty much single-handedly.
Didn't you just turn the whole fortunes of the Nighthawks goaltending system around? A Minto Cup winner. Yeah. Let's give our heads a shake before we start being keyboard cowboys and typing anything that just comes to your mind. Blah. Right? Let's do some thinking before we do that. Lacrosse, we're a little smarter than that. We have football for that. But sorry guys, don't want to insult the football. Eduardo's only planning is to see the Warriors now, so he's got a couple of months sitting at home first. He'll be good and healthy to get out to Vancouver. Next one on there is Colin Jeffrey is signed with the Desert Dogs. Desert Dogs did a bit of signings this week, a few of them. We had Zach Cole also signed. We had Sean Wesley, who I really like. I love his game. I think he is going to be a real asset there. Good grinder, good assist man. Also got a great shot. Great career at St. Bonaventure, but also MSL. He had a terrific summer there as well. And one that we knew about, and we didn't know how it came about. And that was a trade with Casey Jackson going from San Diego to the Desert Dogs. And now, of course, we know that the San Diego receives a second-round pick in 2024. It's interesting. I would have expected more. Then Casey Jackson was a big part.
Well, I'd say yes and no because I think he's dealt with injuries the last couple of seasons, pretty major ones. Yeah. So
I get that. But if we remember before all the main signings happened, before the Dobie, before the Dixon, he was an integral part of that offense. So he's got it in him. Oh, yeah. And to go over to Desert Dogs, I think this will be the reincarnation of Casey Jackson, where he doesn't have to be overshadowed by all these other guys. I think he's going to help out guys like Hellier and people like that. And with Sean Williams, I think the sky's the limit with what he can do. So again, I think they got him for a steal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you look at other trades, guys are going for pretty high prices. So I think they got a pretty good deal on that one.
Yeah,
definitely. And they didn't have to attack any of the stuff that they've been trying to build, which is even more special. And because, again, all the pieces that Sean Williams has put together have mattered to what they want to do. Yeah. Well, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Moving along, we had a couple of Saskatchewan signings, Sean.
Yeah, Jeremy Cyril is coming back. Didn't see a ton of playing time last year. Could be a little bit different this year. I know Derek Keenan's mentioned a little bit about him and his conditioning. Some concerns about that. Just getting as a rookie, you're just kind of learning what you need to do to make it to the big leagues. So I think you could see him playing a bigger role this year.
Mm-hmm. And also,
then Gabriel Prosek, Again, fairly young guy, has had a great summer, I know, in the WLA, and could definitely make an impact, if not just a practice roster guy, another body in camp.
Yeah, and going to give a couple of guys some runs for their
Oh
money.
yeah,
So nobody sits pretty and goes, "Yep, it's my job."
nope.
Ooh, he'll be sitting up playing left press box if you're doing that. Also, a big signing, and it has nothing to do with the floor. But Bob Hamley has been extended over in Panther City. And to me, that's huge because him and Kostiuk work very well together. Bob Hamley's career playing, coaching, GM is second to none, really. And he has been the brains behind the Panther City moving from where they were at, when they first started to making the playoffs last year, finishing third in the West. And still a young team and still a lot of ideas. And I think that's a fantastic move by the Panther City front office to retain him again, him and Tracy. So
yeah, he's building a good
stability
program.
is a big thing when you're building a winning team. Take a look at all the winners gone along so far up to this point. And it's always about stability in the front office as well as your players. And it's huge. And really, that covers all of our right. Well, Eduardo, that's a brand new team. Pretty much,
They are, yeah.
The other team wasn't doing so great, so it's time to rebuild a little bit. We're still wondering about what the who's going to be the starting goaltender. Giuliano, Ruskin.
I would think so.
I think so. I think to
If you're
start,
bringing in a guy like that, I think he's going to be starting. Lane's going to be nipping at his heels, and I it's just going to be interesting to see now what the Rush do with Bouquet and Penny, because they can't be sticking around.
No, and they have to know. They have to see the writing on the wall on this one because, even if you had all the hope in the world and the most positive guy, you're looking, they're bringing in 2 starting goalies, and you guys are there.
Yeah.
So.
And then they've really proved nothing, to be honest with you.
That's the other thing too, right?
Yeah.
That's the big thing is that you didn't have a good year on top of everything.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Okay, just to remind everybody that this part of our program is brought to you by Sherry's Ticket.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about Sherry's Tickets. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. Do not pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. That's 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, do not overpay and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. You'll thank us later. Sherry'sTickets.com.
Definitely. And you don't even have to be in Philadelphia just for that, man. I've tried it myself, and there's tickets for whatever city you're in. So, give it a look. And again, no hidden fees. EOP 10 for 10 extra %. Well, guys, we're coming up rapidly on the NLL draft too. And always an interesting time because I always think that there's more moves to be made even before draft time. But the draft is always interesting because there's all kinds of maneuvering since you have a room full of all these guys there. Nobody's calling anybody. They're walking 4 feet over to the next table, and away we go. So I always love the way that all plays out. And I will be at this year's draft. It is in Oakville. So, and the night before, I will be at the NLL Hall of Fame inductions, which will be a lot of fun as well, with some big names going in there. Anything that pops out to you guys in what some of these teams might be looking for? Why don't we attack the East first off? We can start off with Albany.
Yeah. I kind of figured that. I mean, they have the number 1 pick, obviously. I mean, I haven't heard much lately in the way of change or, prospects, impressing
Mhm.
necessarily to
Yeah.
move up or down in where they're drafted, but I would still imagine that Albany has their sights set on Dyson Williams as the number one pick.
I would
Now,
assume
now,
that, yeah.
now,
Yeah.
now, whether they're working out some sort of a big trade with Las Vegas or not, I don't know. I mean, they've already had a trade with them where they acquired Sam Firth for Thomas Vason. So, maybe that was a bit of an icebreaker. Who knows?
Yeah,
Or they possibly couldn't
that's
get
just the
it
biggest
together.
question mark there, right? Is whether
Yeah.
Shawn's going to make a deal to draft his son or not.
Well, I've seen stranger things happen.
Yeah.
If you remember,
Yeah.
just before the draft last year, Shawn Williams made those trades with Toronto. They got Reed Reinhold and Rob Hellier over there, literally the week of the draft, and worked from there. So
You can
Yeah.
always see a draft and trade too.
that's another thing too.
Yeah,
Yeah, this will definitely be. Make sure you tune in on time. Don't be late.
yeah,
Because when they're on the clock for the first 5 minutes, I'm sure something's going to happen.
Especially when it has to
Essentially
deal with the
happened
first
right there.
pick, right? So
Then and
Yeah.
there, yeah. So
yeah, it's there's a lot of question marks, and there's a lot of things that will make you go heading into this thing. So yeah, I think of a lot of the drafts in recent memory, it's been pretty much status quo. Nothing surprised me last year, at least not in the first 5 or 6 picks. Then it got kind of interesting. But this year, there's a lot of question marks of things and a lot of movement that can happen. Because again, you got teams like Albany, New York, who's made wholesale changes as well, and looking to bolster up. I would suggest that they're looking more to bolster their defense as opposed to their offense. They look like they've got a pretty good cast to work with Jeff Teat, since everything is going to go around Jeff Teat. With Cam Dunkerley and net, they've solved that issue for themselves. And it looks, from what I'd seen this summer with Stephen Orleman, that he, whatever was ailing him or whatever was not working right physically or mentally, he played terrific in that Six Nations series against an all-star team, against a young team, making 50 plus, 60 plus saves a game against this juggernaut of a team that is running over Peterborough now, the 4-time Mann Cup champs. So him coming into camp, I know that he is going to be fighting for that number one job as well. So that should be a good, healthy battle. And if him and Dunkerley can work together, I think you're got a good 1-2 punch in New York, which is already, in my eyes, 4 steps where they were. So defensive-wise, a little aged on that, which is odd for a team that's young, and probably looking for some youth to be trained by the veteran leadership there and work their way upward.
yeah,
Mike,
don't forget. I was going to say, don't forget they have Zach Deacon coming in too, last year's draft pick, who finished up his collegiate career. So that's going to be a huge boost. But yeah, I think I think they're loading up on defenders in transition, and I think it's going to be pretty open season when Riptide Camp opens. That no one's job on the back end is safe.
Yeah, I have a feeling when you start putting those lists together again for camps, and last year was astounding because I don't know how many teams were bringing in 35 and 40 guys into camp for 20 jobs. And 35 of those 40 guys, or 30 of those 35 guys, were all NLL caliber, ready, willing, able to step into an NLL lineup.
Yeah, cuts are getting tougher. That's for sure.
Much tougher. And it's getting to be much more cutthroat in camp, where no job is safe. Where it used to be, 65 to 70% of those jobs were definitely safe, maybe even up to 80%. And just the occasional 1 or 2 players make their way in. But that's not the case anymore. You can have wholesale changes, have an entirely new lineup, and go an entirely different direction just by seeing who's ready in camp, which is odd. It's exciting, though. as a fan, it's exciting. But we'll wait and see on that one. But I just see that, with this, the commissioner's office has to take a look at this. And yeah, I understand that they have to shore up a couple of franchises, Panther City, Albany, things like that, of course. But that doesn't mean that you can't find a good market like a Montreal, like a Quebec City, like a Winnipeg, just to talk in Canada, let alone Edmonton or something like that, if they want to come back in the game. But even in the U.S., to find something mid-U.S., you don't have to go West Coast, East Coast. Somewhere in the middle there might work too. You might want to think about putting one back in Minnesota, since the fan base is still clamoring. You haven't lost them.
Yep.
And putting one in Minneapolis instead of St. Paul might be a better fit as well. And again, it comes very easy for travel because it's midway. You can get both the West and the East guys going in there. Chicago would be another one if the arena deal is correct.
Yeah.
And because again, they had a fan base and they still have a fan base.
That's just the point I was going to make, Gary, is I think there's those intangibles too of you need to have along with the right market, the right ownership, and B, that right deal with the arena. Because how many times have we seen in the past where you have a great fan base, everything's working great, but all of a sudden they lose their lease to the arena and they're out on the streets. You need an ownership is 100% in, and that they have a solid agreement or basically run the arena.
Mm-hmm. But that's where the commissioner's office has to come in, because we can't have deals like the Boston Blazers. We can't have deals like the old Toronto Rocket, Scotiabank. We have to avoid that headache before teams go in there and wind up not making any money and either folding or moving, because again, stability in the league is what we're showing, right? And 15 teams can easily be 18 teams in a couple of years with the amount of players developed and ready to go. You take a look at the style of play in MSL, WLA. You take a look at it in junior, both West and East, including the Alberta divisions now. There's doing nothing but upside. And every province, and I know many of the states, have programs going on. A lot of the teams, the first thing that they do after getting a logo is develop youth programs. And these are starting to pay dividends now. Places like San Diego is paying dividends. Just take a look at the junior tournament. Take a look at a place like Albany that has these things. Take a look at Georgia. Now, a couple of years ago, we were wondering if anybody went to Georgia games. Now they have teams that are viable in the junior tournaments. They have decent attendance. So these things are growing. Everything is growing. So
especially look at this. Sorry, Gary. Especially if you look at the states, you got the Boxla program at the IIJL. The U.S. just won their first ever gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
We're even when we're seeing more and more of those field players now trying to make that transition to box as well. I mean, how many players did we see when Las Vegas came in the league of guys who are mostly field, have limited experience in box, making that jump to NLL.
Yep.
Yeah, Eduardo's come up with a couple of them. Kansas City was one that was on my mind. Also, Salt Lake City, Memphis, Louisiana, several in Ohio. That makes a lot of sense in my eyes.
Yeah. Detroit,
Ohio makes a lot of sense to me. Kansas City also, we're talking about Midwest, makes sense. Remember, that's where the original MILL was based out of. And I think it works. Baltimore comes to mind for the East again, but nothing ever has worked in Baltimore. It's funny, it's a hotbed, Maryland, but it just doesn't seem to work there. I get too many things going on. I don't know, but we've tried a couple of times. We've tried the Thunder. We've tried, it just didn't pan. But I don't know if it comes down to right ownership group. And with the MO that Sakava's put in there a number of years ago, now with the NHL or NBA team with the ownership of their arena, so they become prime tenants and don't get the Friday morning 11 or the Sunday evening at 8 o'clock in the evening on a Sunday. Maybe that will work. Where you're getting Friday and Saturday dates.
I think that's the key word there, Gary. Actually, not so much ownership of the arena, but the prime tenant. I was looking at maybe just a smaller market like Saskatchewan, where they are the prime tenant in that building. Whereas when they were in Edmonton, the Oilers were the prime tenant in that building and just kind of pushed them out, right?
Well, that came same thing with Toronto, right? Where the Maple Leafs, Raptors, anything else, concerts, and whether the Ice Capades came to town, and anything else, and then came the Rock.
Yeah.
Now in Hamilton, they are the prime tenants. So even this coming year, where there are going to be renovations in Hamilton, and they had to move to Mississauga after a month, they will be the prime tenants in the Paramount Fine Foods Arena in Mississauga. So. Still, you're still going to wind up with the Saturday dates, which is easy for people to plan and travel, even though they may not be in your backyard anymore. So, yeah, a little bit of thinking going along with it. Plus, also layers. Sakavitz made sure that there were layers for owners to make money, which included TV deals, which included social media deals, which also included fanatics for merch. So it wasn't just roll down a carpet, open up your doors, and hope that somebody comes to your game. Now it's different aspects and different ways for the ownerships to make money, plus having affluent owners that aren't waiting for their next paycheck to keep the team floating and keeping the team management and players being paid, because that's huge. So all this stuff Sakavitz put in motion, and now Frood is starting to move it forward, and coming from the Stuart Haas team in NASCAR, and getting that Rolodex going for more bigger and better advertising dollars to come in, revenue streams. That's what's going to move this from a part-time league to a full-time league. We can talk about till we're blue in the face about talent. We've had talent. We've had it since the beginning of time. But it's about dollars, advertising, and getting it out to the masses, especially the ones who haven't seen it yet, and turning them on to this game. And that's not a big sell. Once they see it, most people fall in love with it. I haven't heard anybody go, "Nah, I'm never coming back." Never heard it. And I've brought many, many, many people to games all over the place. So we finally decided that we're not going to keep it a secret. So now it comes to the next step of, where do we go? And unfortunately, to sit put with this amount of talent means we're going to lose some really good players, because eventually they're just going to give up and say, it's only so much arena lacrosse league they're going to play. Their time is coming and going. And so there has to be more venues. We were worried before, Mike, about goaltending. Is there enough goaltending out there? Well, we're starting to talk about guys like Craig Wendy, Bouquet, Penny, and a whole bunch of others that are in junior coming up that don't have teams to go to because the goalie situation. Well, just look at Shawn. You have 4 goalies in camp.
Yeah.
There's 3 goalies.
Any one of them could be a starter in this league. Any one of them could be, really.
Let's say you got 3 goalies coming into Toronto Rock camp, and 2 of them are bona fide starters. And Sam Haynes is coming quickly because he's on the Oakville President's Cup there at the team there that just won the OSL championship. So he's getting his it's all coming. Eduardo's chiming in. My job when I was in finance was in corporate level loans. And so we would do analysis for companies, league strategy, and loans like this. Okay. Makes sense. But again, location, but it's also ownership group. Ownership group. Because without that, it doesn't matter where you place them. We've seen it prime territory. We've seen New York fail. We've seen Boston fail. We've seen metropolises fail, where you can open a door and you have your pick of 2 or 3 million people to come in. And because of the groups and the deals, it doesn't work. So just my take on that, for what it's worth, if anything. But I think that's where it needs to be heading, and that's what they need to be looking at. And if I have a chance to talk with the commissioner like I did last year in this draft, I'm sure I'll revisit that point with him about whether or not expansion is closer now after a year in, and seeing the league and seeing the players and seeing the up and coming things, because it all has to do with that. It's one thing to open up a team, but if you don't have a chance, then there's no point. There's no point in opening up a new team to have them finish last. There just is that's passe. That doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty, just before we head to the PLL, let's give Philly Sports Trips a look at it.
All right, guys, if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. Go to phillysportstrips.com. They have self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights from the Philadelphia airport. Packages include direct flights, 4-night stays, all-inclusive tailgate parties, lower-level group tickets. Whatever you want, you got it with phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel to an upcoming Phillies game, make sure you check out Philly Sports Trips. And do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2023 season. Jump on it now, because you do not want to lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com.
And the New England trip has been, I believe, sold out. So they're working, I believe, on the Tampa trip now. So if you want to go over to phillysportstrips.com, there are some terrific deals on lots of things, everything from Phillies to Union to Eagles. Give them a look. Eduardo makes a point here, and I'll make a counterpoint in a second. Competition for 3 to 4 other sports slashes 2 to 3% per sport. So they're more protective of real estate to keep someone from infringing on their region. Yes, but so far, lacrosse has been taken as a fringe sport, not one of the biggies. It's not like another basketball team is coming in your neighborhood. It's not like another hockey team is coming down the street from the NHL. NLL, they never really had given a sniff to before. So are we saying that the NLL is now big enough that the big four are taking notice? Big three, really, because I don't think football really cares. That's the question I have to put out to the masses. Is it a big enough sport now? Has it gained enough of a reputation and enough of a market share that the other sports are now going, And if it is, then we're doing something right. And we got to keep doing it. Because sitting back is not going to do it. We've done that before. And we've almost been eliminated with no TV, with no social media, barely social media, or trying pay-per-view things and other things like that. So we're on to something that's working, and I'm going to get this thing in the midst of full time. Remember, I've brought it up before. Sakavitz had said off air in my interview with him that he saw the league then, which was about 2 years ago, as a really on par with the NHL about 1974-75. And the expansion had already happened. Things were growing. The interest had been peaking, but they hadn't got there yet. That explosion hadn't happened yet. TV was starting, but hadn't gotten to be mainstream full time. It's exactly where we're sitting right now with the NLL and the PLL, for that matter, because we're seeing more games becoming on ABC than ever before. It used to be strictly ESPN and pluses, right? Now we're seeing more games on ABC for PLL. NLL has the game of the week, where before, if they did, it would be on Twitter or somewhere else. Now it's on cable.
And we are seeing them have that odd second game on TSN every now and then. But so it's growing. It's getting there.
Yep. And if it's growing enough that it's becoming something that the other sports are taking notice of, okay. Now we just have to format a plan, a blueprint, if you will. And that's why we have someone like Brett Fruit in that office and his team to formulate this plan and move to the next level. That's what his thing was. Each commissioner had a position. Well, Fruit is here to get us here. So that's the idea. So how long do we wait? Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. I'm also curious if we're going to reinstate that good for TV All-Star game, All-Star weekend, because I think that would be fantastic to showcase for the league. And a lot of the insiders, as we've heard, are on board with that too. So remains to be seen. Anyways, guys, why don't we get over to some Premier Lacrosse League action? We had all 4 of our games happen over the last 2 days from Seattle. We had the Archers, who are just lighting it up, They beat the Whip Snakes 16-11. The Archers are 8-1 now. You know, they always have been a strong team, but I don't remember them being this strong.
Yeah, I think they locked up the number 1 seed with the win, so they do get a first round bye. I think one of the biggest additions, obviously, has been Mac O'Keefe to the squad.
Mm-hmm.
So, he finished with 2 goals plus a 2-point goal and an assist. Connor Fields had 4 goals and 2 assists. Schreiber 2 and 1. And they're just, I mean, they're not just winning; they're winning pretty decisively in most of their games.
Like,
But they're doing it as a team, aren't they? They're doing it as a team. Connor Fields had 5 assists. You know, he's usually your star, but he sat back and was a playmaker. Sorry, 4 goals, 2 assists. My mistake.
Yep.
My mistake. 4 goals, 2 assists. But he's also much of the time a playmaker in this.
Yeah, making things happen for sure. So,
Sisselberger and Lathala, wasn't that a great battle?
It was. I think again, I can't see Sisselberger at this point not being Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just had some games where he's just absolutely dominated. Winning at or near 100% on face-offs.
Well, I can give you one other name.
Ground balls in the game's pretty lofty. So
I can give you one other name, and it's from the same team, Brett Dobson and net.
True.
Yeah.
Because he came basically out of nowhere as a walk-on for the training camps, and here we are.
True.
Yeah. Granted, he's lit up with Georgia in the NLL, but we know Fields a different animal. But he was good enough to make the Team Canada squad in one of those sanctions events, Johns.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I guess I'm not concerned about Archers. Really for them, I think it's a matter of they just gotta, they need to do whatever they need to do to get over the hump. On the flip side with Whip Snakes, I think it's a matter of this is not a situation they've been in before.
Mm-hmm.
They're a 2-time champion. They're used to being atop the standings. They've clinched a playoff spot, but now they can't even finish above 500.
Well, really, it was garbage time come the second half. It was 10-2 at the half.
Yeah. This game was well in hand. By the middle of the third quarter, Dobson even got pulled in the fourth for the backup just to give him some reps. So, with Whip Snakes, I think Orangeville vibes.
Orangeville, oh God. Oh, my.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll echo that because they've I think they've reached semifinals almost every year that the PLL has been in existence and just can't seem to find a way. They've run into someone or something or have a power outage on offense. So they definitely need to hope that doesn't creep up again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Be interesting though. My God, the Archers are just such a powerful team. Moving along to you got the Cannons who have been doing great this year. Worst to almost first. But my Atlas, man. So close.
Full game.
So close. But it's that MO, man. They just can't put together 4 quarters. 3 quarters, yes. 4 quarters, heck no. I don't remember one. Even the games they won this year, I don't remember them playing 4 solid quarters. They just seem to take one off, and that's it. They came out flat in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, in this one, it was a third quarter collapse, right? That really cost them 14-13 against the Cannons. I mean, the Cannons dropped 3 2-point goals from the third, and outscoring them 8-2. When you're getting outscored like that in a quarter, good luck trying to win. How do you allow 3 2-point goals in a quarter?
Yeah. No, I get that. It's bizarre, and then they come back and have a strong fourth, but it's too little, too late.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Drenner scored the game winner with just under 2 minutes left. I mean, yeah, Alice got one back with about, I think it's about a minute left. But at that point, how do you come back from that? And another point too is, I mean, Trevor Baptiste went 27 for 28 at the X for Atlas. So it's not like they're getting the extra possessions. What are they doing with them?
Yeah, well, there was the game they won. They still went on about 7 possessions in a row, I believe, off the face-off that they didn't capitalize on, and that's the game they won. So some of these other games, it's just, you wonder where the collapse comes from. Well, it's that if they can't do anything, having all these possessions and having these turnovers happen. Now, the most pretty goal, I don't have a highlight of it. I wish I did. Was an assist, actually, Miles Jones.
Yeah,
that was just incredible.
Bullied his way in and found, I believe, his teeth open for the goal. It was unbelievable.
So anybody who thinks that trade for Miles Jones and Romar Dennis didn't work out well for Atlas, I say you're wrong.
Yeah,
I think he found a nice home there, and as the team figures out some of the other things in there, he's going to be a big piece. Plus, it really, Miles Jones is known for his 2-point goals, but he lost a 2-point goal scorer. So did you really lose anything? No.
Yeah. That's just kind of maybe one point I was going to make. When talking about Jeff Teat, I think he had a goal and 2 assists in this game. And I mean, Chris Gray had 5 goals for the Atlas, but Teat's your guy, right?
We've talked about this before. Is that
yeah?
He's just not having the numbers that he's had in other seasons, which says something about the defenses that he's going against, because he didn't stop playing. It's just, he's going against double, triple.
They've caught on.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about the best players in the world.
Yep.
There's a lot of pride there that they're not going to let Teat beat them. They're going to let somebody else beat them, and they're very aware of who is out there. So they're going to make an Eric Lowe or Chris Gray beat you, not Jeff Teat.
Yeah.
So that's why you're starting to see Chris Gray getting a lot more production, and an Eric Law. Brian Kostiuk is a little bit more into the offense now too, because they have to find other ways to do it. But even setup wise, Teat's not getting the assists either. So, but that's the way it is. All right, let's move on. My poor Atlas.
Well, now they've all but clinched a playoff spot. So,
well, yeah, it's funny because both teams were trying to, Chrome and Atlas were trying to allow the other one in, because Chrome loses to the Redwoods 11-10 in overtime, and wow, just wow. They played probably, other than their victory, their best game of the season. And they just couldn't get over the hump. Looking at this game, Wisniewski, 4 goals. Westberg for the Redwoods, of course, with 3 goals. Erlin against Farrell. Erlin took Farrell to town, 17-5. That's where the difference is, right? This time around, possessions mattered. Can you imagine if they had 5-6 less possessions? Dare I say, Chrome might have even come in as a
especially when you're looking at an overtime situation, right? Where that first shot could be the last one.
Exactly. And we're looking at this game, and Redwoods jump out to a lead. Montgomery. Now, Romar Dennis, there's that name. 2-point goal. So 3-0. It's 4-0. Westberg jumps in there before Sam Hanley finally gets Chrome on the board with a goal. They want to bring it to 4-3 with a couple of goals by Logan Wisniewski. 4-3 after at the half. Pretty low scoring game. Or sorry, at the end of one. Pretty low scoring. Huge second quarter. Montgomery with a 2-point goal, equaled by Salama with a 2-point goal. Game got kind of chippy here. You know? Brian Tevlin, he scores, and he's met up by Cross Ferreira. So we're 7-6. Ryder Garnsey gets one for the Redwoods, 8-6. Chrome comes back with Wisniewski's 8-7. A power play goal by Romar Dennis. They make me eat my words about the Dennis Miles goal.
Right, yeah.
Thanks, guys. 9-7. Westberg comes in as 10-7, and things look like they're getting out of hand. Fourth quarter, all Chrome. Cross Ferreira, who is another one who we hear a lot about him week after week after week now. Logan Wisniewski again. And Justin Anderson, with a minute 34 left, ties the game at 10, sending it to overtime. Didn't take very long, did it? In overtime, just 44 seconds in, Westberg off a Rob Pennell feed, and the Redwoods are your winner. So, comes down to a face-off, a good pass, and a good finisher. And again, Chrome is looking at the what ifs and what could have been. So I don't know. Already they're not in the well, it's basically a write-off of the season this year for them because they're not in the tournament, and at this stage they're not in the playoffs unless they win by 47 goals in the next game. Not likely.
Right.
Yeah.
Never say never, but not likely. Just putting that out there. Brings us to the last game of the PLL schedule, and that is the Water Dogs and Chaos. And this one, I honestly expected more out of Chaos. Now, Josh Byrne wasn't in the lineup. That's big. But looking at this one, it was the 2-point goals that really was what got them. You know, Jack Hanna with a 2-point goal. Ryan Conrad with a 2-point goal. Jake Carraway, 2-point goal. One other one in there, too. 2-point goal by Kelly. So, right away, that's 8. That's your game. 4 2-point goals. So, Reardon wasn't seeing it well from the outside, obviously. Now, a little bit of luck, too, because the Charlie Hayes goal was actually a rebound that hit Jared Newman, and he tried to get it, and the English put it back in the net. So, sometimes you have to be lucky to be good to be lucky, right?
Right.
But overall, flat performance from Chaos. You got that kind of firepower, and then again, if you're a Buffalo Bandits fan, you know what it means to not have Josh Byrne in the lineup. And again, it reared its ugly head. Simple. Ty Kurtz, Kyle Jackson, CJ Kostiuk with a 2-pointer. Beautiful 2-pointer, too. Nick Roulette, Brian Meniscus. Lindley also got a goal. And another one from Ty Kurtz at the end. But 8 goals isn't going to do it in many games, is it?
No, just ask Chrome.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Oh yeah, this broke that streak, didn't it, Mike?
It certainly did.
It broke the streak. Holy smokes! There should be a party over in Chromeland. God. But just looking at the, Blaze Reardon made 17 saves, for 65.4 percentage. He had a big day in net. Just outside shots were getting him. But Dylan Ward was spectacular, man. He made 17 saves also, 70.8%. When he's on his game,
that's pretty rarefied air, 70%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to win pretty games.
No.
If your goalie you're going against is 70% of the saves. It's just that's insanity. You look at it, shots on goal, 27-26. For the Water Dogs. But shots altogether, again, 41-40 in favor of Chaos. Yeah. Cost turnovers was a big number in this one, too. 11 cost turnovers for the Water Dogs, 4 for Chaos. So,
I think I really think they just don't seem to be getting a whole lot of credit. It's almost like people forget that they're the defending champs
Yep.
and forget, about some of the guys, especially on the back end. Zach Currier, obviously, is a cost turnover machine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then some other big names back there. I mean, Matt Witcher, he's capable of firing 2 bombs as well. Chris Sabia, big hits, all that seems to get kind of lost in just
the weird thing when I'm looking at the standings is, you almost figure you have to turn it upside down, because the bottom 3 that are making the playoffs, let alone Chrome, right? The bottom 3 that are making the playoffs are the Whipsnakes, Chaos, and Atlas.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? Archers, Cannons, they're having a great year, 6-3. Water Dogs are 6-3 also. And you look at their goals against and goals for, it's 115 and 105. So they've got a goal differential of 10. That's a pretty decent year for the Water Dogs. Cannons, 128 to 108. It's a goal differential of 20. That's obscene. That's nowhere near, or that's huge compared to what they've had in years past in the Lyle Thompson years.
Yeah, and figure, for Water Dogs, I mean, those last 2 losses before winning this week were pretty much, it was a battle for first place with Archers, and then a battle for second place, I believe, with Cannons. So,
here's the thing, and I've said it before. When Lyle Thompson was in that lineup for the Cannons, too often did everything go through him only. And of course, just like the Jeff Teat syndrome, he's double and triple teamed. There's only so much he can do. With him not being there, actually brought this team that everybody has to do something. And that's big. And that's showing. Now, the key is when he comes back next year, it has to stay this way. He has to be another cog in the wheel, not the Lyle Thompson and everybody else. That's going to be the secret to that team going from where they are now to that next step, I think. I don't think they're ready to beat the Archers for a championship.
No.
But I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, if you get that philosophy you're talking about, Gary, in place, I think they probably could compete with the Archers. I mean, because that's going to be a scary good team if they can get a Lyle Thompson you expect plus everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. But everybody's got to do their part.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just sit there and hope that you bought a ticket. And yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's another name. I mean, is Charlon Beatty's playing for Cannons right now?
No.
Yes, he had.
Yes, he is?
Yeah, he came back this game and he had a couple of goals. Actually, he had a hat trick for the Cannons.
Welcome back to the team.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so he had a huge
back
return.
and Lyle, and if they can retain Holman, Nolting, Drenner, that's a
huge team.
Yeah. Eye opening.
Absolutely. There's no reason why they can't be in first. But for now, with Charlon Beatty's back, that changes a lot of things too. So yeah, can they compete with the with Archers? Yes. Because you have that much more firepower in there. But we'll see. Alrighty. Just before we get to the WLA, just in case y'all have a little bit of legal trouble.
All right, guys, let's talk about Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you got to call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your rights. Again, that number is 610-565-0300. That's 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right.
Alrighty. Tell them the EOP boys sent you. Just in case. Let's change gears a little bit, guys. We're going to move ourselves over to WLA and MSL, and we are in the thick of it now for who's going to the Man Cup. And the Man Cup is just around the corner. We're coming to the end of August, so beginning of September, and we're fighting for another Man Cup. Really hasn't been very disappointing, has it? The WLA has just burner.
This championship series is going to be excellent.
Oh, yeah, this one is. I think it's going 7.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the MSL is doing that, but I do think that the WLA could be, which might work in favor for the MSL as they sit and rest. But let's talk about the WLA first. You had the opening game of the series back on Wednesday, in which the Thunder beat the Salmon Bellies just barely.
Yeah, 11-9. Granted, that score maybe not quite indicative of the game because I mean the Thunder, other than the first goal of the game for New West, it was Thunder from then on in. Langley had 6 straight goals between the first and second quarters, periods, that really kind of made that hole that much deeper to get that New West had to get out of. I mean, they tried to chip away, but yeah, I mean. Robert Church and Curtis Dixon combined for 7 of Langley's 11 goals. Church had 4 goals and 8 points. Dixon had 3 goals and 6 points. So I mean, when those guys are on fire, this is a dangerous team, and they really got to kind of rein that in with New West and their defense.
Yeah, there's a resurgence in Kevin Crowley, eh?
Yeah.
A goal and 2 assists, but more than anything, he is just everywhere on this floor. He looks like he's 25 again.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the X factor in this all, right? Is Crowley with New West.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Well, Eduardo just jumped in with a comment about why Baltimore doesn't work. 11 major sports teams within 35 miles and 14 other major. The income debt ratio was negative because of cost of living. Well, yeah, not the most affluent areas, but I think still in a place that's that much of a hotbed, it's still it is a workable thing if your marketing and your ownership as well as your arena deal is good.
Yeah.
Anyways, Getting back into WLA here. We had the game 2 go off on Friday, and another barn burner, right?
Yeah, at least through 2 periods. New West held a 6-5 lead and quickly made it 8-5 in the third, and then Langley ran off 3 straight goals to tie the game, but couldn't come up with anything after that in the third period, and New West went on another 5-goal run of their own. Winning 13-8. So now each team has a road win in the series, which is even
strange,
more.
Eh?
Yeah, shocking, but not at the same time. So,
all right, Philadelphia fans, number 1 star, Mitch Jones, 3 goals, 6 assists.
Yes, yep, big game from him. Keegan Ball had a goal and 6 assists. Will Malcolm stepping up with 2 goals and 3 assists. And our boy Pat Bernard's favorite favorite target for the Wings, Zach Higgins, 40 saves in the win. So, things could be looking up if he
Pat, he's bursting your balloon, Pat.
Pat, he's had a great summer. I'd be I'd watch out.
He might win the starting goalie job. Wait, he's got the starting goalie job. Just ride the wave.
I'm sure he'll chime in shortly.
Yeah.
Hey,
just ride the wave and enjoy.
Look, it can only be good for the Wings if Higgins is able to backstop New West to a man cup, obviously. So
that would be something, eh? That really would be
something. especially if we're expecting, Six Nations to just continue being a juggernaut and So that'll certainly be a performance for the ages, if he was able to, keep Six Nations from winning the Man Cup, beating Langley and then Six Nations, will be quite the feat. So, but Game 3 goes tonight at Queens Park Arena. So, again, each team with a road win. So, this will be interesting. It'll be might end up like we think going 7, and it may come down to a team that's able to actually win at home ends up being the one taking the series.
Interestingly enough, yeah. Well, it's funny because thank God that these guys got on the same page with MSL and they're on opposite days. So someone
Yes.
like me can watch all the games.
Yep, both
Yeah.
leagues.
Unless there's a game 7 in which they're on the same day. But that doesn't look to be an issue. Not yet. Not yet.
Because
Well,
Yeah.
we started this series on Tuesday. Yeah. It was a 10-7 victory for Six Nations, but really, it was 5-1 after the first period. And it just got out of hand at that stage. We already, we it's weird. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Is, to see Peterborough in this position is just, over the years I've watched it, and that's not the way it goes. The funny thing is that Peterborough jumped out to a 1-0 lead. Turner Evans got a goal. Then wham, there was 5 goals. Randy Stotts, Ben McIntosh, Austin Stotts, Lyle Thompson, Austin Stotts again. Austin Stotts had big games in game 1 and game 2 with 4 goals in both of them. We go into the second period. Austin Stotts, again, it's now 6-1. Holden Katoni gets a power play goal, 6-2. But Eric Fennell jumps in transition off of Brian Coldfeed, and it's 7-2. Mike Robinson in transition off of Thomas Whitty pass. But then Randy Stotts and Austin Stotts back to back. Tate Katoni scores with just 3 minutes left, followed by Holden. And you know what? We have ourselves a decent game. It's now 9-5. It's possible. But in comes the goaltending. 2 goals by Peterborough, by Tate Katoni and Kyle Matisse in transition. And it looks like, wow, we got ourselves a bit of a game because now it's 9-7. But they weren't able to solve it. There was still 10 minutes left in the third period, and they weren't able to solve. It was Doug Jamieson in net in the first game. And Lyle Thompson got one with 8.5 minutes left, and that was it for the scoring. As she wrote, 10-7, Six Nations took the first game in Six Nations, and which set us up for going back to Peterborough in front of about 3,000 fans. And this game, we got a lot more of what we had in the first game. Difference is this time Six Nations got off to a big start. This time, Drew Hutchison started the game for Peterborough, which was interesting since Landon Kells played really well. But all of a sudden, Warren Hill was who got in net for Six Nations. But Ben McIntosh, you can hear his name a lot in this one too because he had 3 goals. Ben McIntosh opened the scoring just 49 seconds in, followed by Liam Leclerc, followed by Larson Sundown. So inside the first 3 minutes was 3-0. Eli McLaughlin got one back on the power play, but Tim Edwards added one for the Chiefs. Tate Katoni scored, and Austin Stotts got that back. By this point, we have Landon Kells back in there. Brandon Bonbury and Eric Fennell both got goals to start the second. Kyle Matisse and Tate Katoni answered back for Peterborough. Matisse was a shorthanded goal on top of things. So after 2 periods, this game was 9-4. Kind of looking a lot like the first one, right? Difference was this time the Chiefs shut Peterborough down in the third. Hogarth got a goal for Peterborough a couple of minutes in. Shane Jackson, he got that one back. Courier again for Peterborough, and then it was all Six Nations the rest of the night. Austin Scott scored with 4 minutes, 55 seconds left, followed by Lyle Thompson on the power play. Austin Stotts got one back, also with 17 seconds remaining, and this game was over. It was 11-6 for the Chiefs, silencing almost 3,000 people in Peterborough. How powerful is this lineup? Well, in this game, Randy Stotts and Cody Jamieson didn't play. In game 1, Cody Jamieson didn't play at all. So they used both their goalies. Both came away with victories with great goals against average. In my eyes, this is going to be not a long series, but it's possible if Peterborough can put it together. Tomorrow night, 8:00 at Iroquois Lacrosse Arena, make it 2-1. It's possible, but for them to win 4 of the next 5 games,
Yeah,
it's
a big hill to climb.
that's a big ask at any time.
Yeah, and just to have to start it with a road win.
Now, I'll be at the game 4 on Wednesday in Peterborough, and hopefully it's not dealing with a post-mortem, because that'd be a very silent crowd.
Yeah, boy, that'll be something. The Six Nations makes it a sweep.
Especially someone like Peterborough.
That'll be a statement and a half.
Yeah, well, considering they won it last year, pretty 6 games over Six Nations to go, and have Langley come in and for the Mann Cup, and it's just one of those things, like a lot of the players that were on that team, you have some returning, but you have a lot of them that didn't. There is no Matt Vince. That's big. Poulin as a backup. That's big. Dawson on defense. Fitarelli. The list goes on and on and on. Are there some good replacements? Yes. Do they have to keep Jake Withers' temper in check? Yes, they do. Because Withers got thrown out of the other game, the game 2. And all of a sudden, if we look at the face-off numbers, I believe it was 11-10 for Six Nations. That's how big a deal that is. Those extra possessions, I know we're talking about it over in, in PLL and things like that. This is big. In this thing, it's huge.
Yeah.
Because it sets up everything. So, let's see. I think tomorrow is a telltale. Everybody was talking about, game 2 and 4 games. Definitely, if it goes 3-0, this barring, an act of God, this thing is toast.
Yeah, and again, repeating a point you made, Gary, I mean, it just works in Six Nations' favors. If it goes 7 in the West, I'm sure they're probably keeping an eye on that, saying if we can get out in 4, let those 2 teams beat each other up heading into Mann Cup.
They can fly out to somewhere in BC that's in the middle of it and sit back and watch and get used to the time zone and not be bothered by any of it. You don't have to go the day before and, kind of hope that the time change will not affect you. They can be there for 3 days, 4 days.
Like I said, let those other 2 teams just beat each other up so that they're beaten and battered by the time you get to them. And
Absolutely. So, there's, plenty of upside for for the Six Nations Chiefs, or unless Peterborough comes back, and then this will go 7 games if Peterborough's coming back. Because I just don't see Six Nations losing 4 in a row.
No,
that just doesn't. Again, an act of God has to happen before that happens. Anyways, guys, the week that was, it was a busy week on all accounts. Now, remember, this coming week, we to stick with us, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Thread. We're on all these places. There will be more signings. There'll probably be more deals. We're coming up towards the NLL draft. We also have the Minto Cup that starts today, the President's Cup that starts next week, and we have MSL and WLA action as well as PLL. So plenty of things to keep your interest peaked. So remember to come see us 2, 3, 4 times a day. The news is always changing. And don't forget to come check us out at eopsports.com for news, reviews, interviews, all kinds of things. You can also check us out on our YouTube page, which is going to have more retro games up also in the next week or so. And we're working towards getting a whole library of that up as well. Any last words, Shawn, somewhere in Saskatchewan?
No, just looking forward to this WLA finals. Like you said, it's going to be a great one. And also the Minto Cup, especially being out west here, Alberta teams can do.
Yeah, I think that's big, eh? Just to see how Edmonton's going to do in their second year after last year's huge showing.
Don't sleep on the Calgary program either. I mean, the Mounties have had a really good program going. So
that's very true. Very, very true. Mike, what do you got for us? before you hit the open seas.
Yeah, I'm ready to hit the open seas. That's
Hope his internet's good. Man, it's gonna be tough to get him from ship to shore. Remember, it's 11 o'clock next week, Mike. Our time.
yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what I can do.
Well, there should be an empty chair there. Just have a feeling.
Yeah.
Safe travels. Enjoy your vacation. You've earned it. Definitely. Anyways, guys, that wraps us up for another week. Remember, next week we are on one more time at 11 a.m. before we head back to our regular slot of 9 p.m.s. I'm hoping that it's because I have to go to Peterborough for Game 6, but that remains to be seen. I might be going for because I'll be at the President's Cup, because that starts next Sunday as well. So busy places in two different areas again, like always. And nothing can be near to each other. Anyways, for Shawn Slaght and for Muffler Mike, we thank you again for coming aboard and staying with us week after week and checking us out daily on our Facebook account and as well as on our website at eopsports.com/lacrosse. Please stay with us and remember next week to come back at 11 a.m. for more excitement and more lacrosse. Until then, keep your stick in your hands and we will see you all again next week.